Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Waystone. My name is Naragath, and it's been a little while since I've released a video. First off, sorry about that. Unfortunately, life happens. And part of that life happening was I lost my voice for a little bit. Well, I didn't lose it, I just really sounded like garbage. I could barely speak for more than maybe a minute at a time. So it made it pretty hard to record a video, as much as I would have liked. I definitely did try. And in that time, I got some progress done here, along with some normal off-camera work. But, yeah, that footage isn't going to be released, I'm afraid. As it just wasn't that great. So instead, I'm just going to kind of go over what I did, and we'll move on from there. So, as you can see, we got a lot of the stuff done in the storage room here. I still need to go and decorate the ceiling. Haven't quite exactly decided on a design yet. Not fully anyway. I have an idea which direction I'm going to go, but yeah, that's something I'm going to do later. But we also have this item elevator here. This is for my Shulkerbox retrieval system, and I really like how this has turned out. I'll just mess around with blocks, came up with the design. I thought this looks kind of cute, kind of cool. I don't know. I see a face in there, like almost like, you know, kind of like how the rabbits are, or like some, you know, animated robot kind of deal. So I'm keeping that. I think it looks kind of cool. And then over here we have the Shulkerbox system in place here. We have this Shulkerbox unloader here, Shulkerbox retrieval system, and where the Shulkerbox that you request come in, as well as an empty or an extra chest. And in this chest, I'm putting all the items I can request Shulkerboxes of, so I don't have to climb up there and grab one item to request it or whatever. And the only thing left I need to do is put ender chests in here if I want to. So yeah, eventually I'll do that. I haven't put in the block swappers for this yet, but I figure I'll do that some other time. It won't be that big of a deal to put them in. So other than that, the system is fully in place. We have all 132 sorters up and running, and it's working pretty good. Back here we have our non-stackable items, and that's working pretty good. Not sure how that got in there, but yeah. Over here we have the empty Shulkerbox system right here. As you can see, I've been unloading a lot of Shulkerboxes. And in fact, let's go ahead and grab a few of these guys. So one thing that I'm really happy with my Shulkerbox system that that I put in, as opposed to most of the ones that you will find online, is mine doesn't break if you have empty Shulkerboxes. It still works just fine. Most of the ones that I was finding online, you put an empty Shulkerbox in and it will either break or you will need to manually clear it, which, you know, normally isn't too big of a deal, but I definitely wanted a fully hands-off system for mine. So go ahead, place these guys in, and as you can see, I'm putting quite a few empty Shulkerboxes in the system. And if we head down there, this is where the unloader is. And if I just wanted the simple unloader and didn't worry about having to manually clear it, I could have gone with the system that was tileable. But like I said, I wanted to deal with the empty Shulkerboxes, and you can kind of get an idea how this works. We should have empty Shulkerboxes coming up here in a second. So as you can see, they're empty. They still get bumped off. The main way that I detect if it's an empty Shulkerbox is this clock right here. And it'll send a pulse through, and if there is, you know, if it is an empty Shulkerbox, there won't be any comparator output from here, and that will allow this block to stay extended and receive the pulse from the clock, therefore breaking it and moving on to the next Shulkerbox. So that's pretty nice. and I have it timed out in a way that it gives it enough time that if you put in a shulker box with any items in it, this block will be retracted by the time that pulse gets over to the piston, and won't accidentally break a shulker box that has any items in it. So yeah, this is definitely a first version of this system. The next time I design it, I probably can compact it a good bit. But as it is, for a first version, I'm really happy with how this is working. And it also works in a way that if I were to put in, say, my my pickaxe or something like that, it's not going to lose it or anything like that. It's going to, still be put back into the system. In fact, I think it'll actually put it to where my empty shulker boxes go. So, yeah, pretty happy with how that works. And now I want to go ahead and show my shulker box retrieval system. So, that's pretty simple. As I mentioned, this chest right there has the items that I can request. So let's go ahead and request a netherrack and a stone, wooden planks, and nether quartz. And if I'm not mistaken, the netherrack doesn't have a shulker box at the moment, so I shouldn't get a netherrack shulker box, but I will get the piece of netherrack back. The stone should come back, and then also I should get the other two items that I put down, the nether quartz and the planks. I should get those back in a little bit. It takes about a minute for it to send the shulker box back up, maybe a little bit longer, but I figure that's fine. And while I'm waiting for that, I can always go, grab some other items that I'm going to need for whatever build I'm going to do at that time, or, whatever else I'm doing. And we will see them come back up, just like that. All right. So there's the stone shulker box. Yeah, the piece of stone, the netherrack, the wooden planks, and the quartz. So as you can see, even if you send down an item that you send down by accident, or you can't remember if there's, a shulker box of it, it won't lose it. It'll send it back, which is pretty nice. So we'll go ahead and put those up. And now I'm going to go ahead and head down there, and I'm going to go ahead and show off at least one half of the system. So I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are down in the bulk storage right here. And if you remember how this looked before, it does look a little different. There's still some work in progress stuff and some random access points. But the main things that I want to point out is we no longer have stone brick in the bulk storage. We have netherrack instead. I started thinking about it. The stone brick, generally, I will craft what I need at that time. I do have some extra, but not enough to justify having bulk storage. So I decided netherrack is going to go in place as you know, I'm going to be using a lot of it. So having bulk storage of it isn't necessarily a bad idea. So yeah, the next thing I want to point out is we have these indicator lights in the floor now. And what these indicator lights indicate is that there is no shulker box waiting to be loaded for the bulk system. And the way the system works, it only does one at a time. So that is one thing to note. If you request, say, 2 netherrack at once instead of just 1, it will send 2 shulker boxes if it has 2 shulker boxes available. But the next one after the first one will either be empty or near empty. So it's kind of pointless to do that, but I figure for my uses, this is just fine. I'm generally only going to want 1 shulker box anyway, so I'm not too fussed about that. And so, yeah, and then you'll notice these buttons here. What these are for is, say we have an empty one, say, like the netherrack. Go ahead, take our shulker box, and I'm going to go ahead and take an empty one instead of the one for the stone. And the slab that's to the left is where you throw them in. It'll send it in. That indicator light will go off. It means that it doesn't mean that there's a shulker box being loaded. It means that there's one in the dispenser waiting to be loaded. So you just come over here, hit the button, it will dispense it, and then it will start loading up that particular shulker box. And that works just fine for having shulker boxes in the rest of the system, as if you've never tried dispensing a dispenser that has a shulker box in front of it, it acts just like bone meal that doesn't have anything to bone meal. It actually doesn't fire it. So it's not a problem, and you can do that no problem. So let's go ahead and put the stone one in here. So just so I have it in there, and let's go ahead and put a few more in for the netherrack. So I can go through and I can go ahead press this no problem, but it's not necessary. This side of the system right here, I need to redo. This was an early design that I had for it, and it works, but instead of putting the shulker box in the water stream down here, it actually creates an item elevator and sends it up and despawns it. So yeah, so it doesn't actually work, but it works, but it doesn't. If that makes sense. So anyway, just a quick view of the redstone back here. This took a little while to get right, but I'm really happy with the end result. So the basic idea of how this thing works is that we have item filters back here with all the items that you can request. So this is how it knows whether the items that you set down actually has a shulker box. It doesn't actually detect, oh, hey, what's in the shulker box? Because there's no real easy way to do that. It's possible, but it's not practical from every attempt that I made. So instead of trying to design this complicated system to detect what's in every single shulker box, I decided item filters is the way to go. And much simpler. And if I'm bulk storing it, I should have plenty for the filter anyway. So yeah. Anyway, so we have the item filters here, and then we have observers detecting any changes in the redstone here. So when you put an item through an item filter, at least this kind right here, by default, when it's in the full straight and ready to go, like it is right now, it's outputting a signal strength of 2. And once you put an item through the system, it'll go to 3 for a minute and back to 2. And that's what this observer is waiting to detect. And it activates this T flip-flop, which activates that sticky piston, which turns itself into another T flip-flop right there, and moves the cauldron. And that cauldron has some water in it, which is detected by this comparator, which is what this observer is watching. And then we have an observer watching that observer, and an observer watching that observer, which activates this block. So yeah, this system doesn't care if the comparator is actually on or off. It's just looking for a change. So that's why the comparators aren't going into anything. It doesn't need to. And the cool thing that I found purely by accident, now this could be a thing with multiplayer servers, with lag or whatnot. I don't know for sure. I haven't tested that far into it. But when you have an observer going into a block here that has a piston there and a dispenser there, the piston will fire and will be retracted in time for the dispenser to put out another shulker box. So you don't have to do any fancy timing or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. So other than that, I just have the comparator deal going to the light there to know when there's shulker boxes in there. Hopper line obviously feeding into that. And then this line right here is what triggers all those dispensers to dispense out the first the shulker box after you load it. So yeah, pretty simple. If there's any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below. I don't know how well I explained that, but yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, put them in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on to what I actually want to do today, which takes place outside and expanding on the base. Finally. It never seems to fail. Most of the time when I go to record, yeah, we hear a bunch of rain. Why must you do this to me? But I also remembered that there's something else I forgot to mention in the opening clip. I probably sound a little different. There's a couple reasons for that. For starters, I'm still kind of getting over getting my voice back. But also the more important reason is that I'm using a new EQ for my voice, so I'm still tweaking it a bit. So if I sound a little differently, that's part of the reason why. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this rain go away, and then we'll get on with what I want to do. Okay, that's better. So now that we're not hearing the rain so much. So what I want to get done today, there's actually a few things that I want to get done today. So for starters, I want to do a bit of terraforming over here. It's looking a bit jank. And now that I have the storage room in here and you're seeing bits of it pop up, I kind of like to be able to kind of cover that up a little bit. And not only the bits that have popped up over here, but that's also a bit over here, just on the other side of this hill, that I want to cover up as well. And while I'm doing that, I figure I'll go ahead and make a path from the tower to the tree farm over there. I think that'll be pretty nice. And that also will help me should I have an incident like I had happen, in between the last episode and this episode. If I had an incident like I had then, I could still get over here relatively easy. So what had happened is I was working on the item elevators on the bottom of the storage room there, and went AFK for a little bit, and this is in a little bit of a ravine where a lot of the stuff puts it and goes together. And a creeper decided to pay a visit to me and blow me up. So with me being AFK, I wasn't able to get back in time for before my items despawned. So yeah, I lost a few things. I lost my elytra and a lot of my tools and whatnot. And that unfortunately means that Picky is no longer with us. If you don't know, Picky was a pickaxe that Waffle gave me at the very beginning when I first joined the Waystone, and I had been keeping very good track of it. I hadn't lost it, hadn't broken it or anything. And I was hoping to keep it to the end of the season. Not such luck. But these things happen. And obviously I was able to replace a lot of my gear. Some of it was, I'm actually pretty happy with how most of it came out. I need to get a few more mending books, but before I do that, I want to make a way to get fireworks a little bit easier for me. So I don't, so I have them on hand. And also, in addition to that, I also want to be able to make books a little bit easier. Now, I have the cow farm down below. So now I want to make a mob farm up here that's creeper only. And the design I'm going to use is the one that Il Mango recently released. So I'll leave a link in the description, of course. But in addition to having that mob farm, I also want to put a sugarcane farm with it, so that when I go AFK, I can get plenty of sugarcane as well as gunpowder. So yeah, where I'm going to put it is going to be basically off the path that I'm going to put in here to the tower. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make a way to get up there from the ground level. I haven't decided that yet, but I will probably, I will be making it at least 128 blocks higher than, the terrain here, so I don't have to worry about lining up the caves or anything like that. And welcome back, everyone. So, quick progress update. I went ahead and got the AFK platform up there in, as well as the farm itself. And I did go with a smaller design than what Il Mango showcased, but it's the same exact design. Or we had the shifting floor design, and then we had the trapdoors inside. And I'm not expecting it to be the most efficient thing in the world. In fact, I expect it to be rather inefficient, but efficient enough for my needs, if that makes sense. And in addition to that, I'm also going to be putting a platform down here to funnel the creepers that fall through. I want to funnel them down to a smaller drop shaft so that I can more easily collect the drops instead of having to have hopper mine carts or a big array of hoppers or anything like that. I want to be able to have like a small spot pad and be able to collect the drops that way. The reason why I don't want to do hopper minecarts isn't because I don't like them. I do like them, but we've been having some issues periodically with minecarts in general, where they kind of either disappear or they go like ghost righty. So I'd rather avoid having to deal with that for this. That's going to be kind of a pain for me to get to wherever that's going to be. So yeah. So I'm going to create the platform here, and I will be back in a little bit. All right, and welcome back, everyone. So I have the platform that I have the creepers funneling into all set up for the most part. I'm probably going to do a little more quartz around the edges there just to make it look a little more normal, I guess. But as you can see right there, we have our splat pad in place as well. It's just a single line of hoppers, but this is enough for, you know, what I have for the funneling. And then I have that going into a normal dropper clock right here, so that I can drop all the items. And underneath the hopper, which is pointing down, I have a cobweb, but I'm thinking I'm gonna switch that out for just a glass tube, heading all the way down. I decided I'm gonna do that so that if I do need rockets, more than likely I won't have enough to get up to the top here to do the crafting or anything like that. So if I send it all the way down, I can craft all the stuff down there and be fine there. But before I create the storage down there, I'm thinking what I want to do is I want to create the path going from the tree farm all the way over here, so I can better design the storage room as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get cracking on that. I'm also going to do the landscaping or the terraforming around here as well. So I'm going to get cracking on that, and I'll be back with you guys in a moment. All right, and welcome back, everyone. So I got the path in here for the most part. There's a few things that I still want to do to the path, but I'm going to do that in between episodes, like come back through here and put like some gravel and andesite, you know, do some texture variation in here a little bit. As it is, I think the path looks pretty good for the most part, but I think it would look better if I have, you know, gravel and andesite peppered through here, you know, just kind of make it look like it's been, you know, a walked on path. And the other thing I'm tempted to do is to carry this canvas over from the roof, or from the roof force, you know, put leaves, you know, maybe at a level above the sea lanterns here, just kind of arc it over. I think that'll look pretty cool. But for time reasons, I'm not going to do that right now, because what I wanted to do is I want to get the storage area for the gunpowder and sugarcane in. And I'm going to do that pretty much right here, I do believe. I had a creeper start helping me with the digging of this area, so I figured I'll go ahead and continue it there. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it pretty basic, you know, nothing too crazy. You know, I'm not going to make a full-on building for it. Probably going to do more of an out-in-the-open kind of deal, like open this up, and then it just kind of opens up into some chests in an area, and then, you know, a collection area for it. So I'm going to go ahead and get cracking on that, and I'll be back with you guys in a little bit. So I just had an unfortunate incident with hitting the ground a little too hard with my elytra. And yeah, I'm over here in spawn as I'm getting ready to head back. So I thought I'd go ahead and stop by here for something that I saw Cornelia put up. And I thought I'd go ahead, come by and, yeah, pay a visit. Carrot cake's my favorite. Okay. Yeah, while I'm here, might as well check my post office box. Ooh, it is. It's a bunch of grass. Thanks. I think. Alright, and welcome back, everyone. So, I went ahead, made the storage room, and it's looking decent. Yeah, I'm probably going to be messing around with it a good bit in between episodes. But for right now, it'll serve the purpose, and it'll work just fine. Yeah, it wasn't going for anything super fancy, but, you know, it's something that's functional that will also keep me protected from skeletons and any creepers and stuff like that. Because with that being a roof forest, that place is still dangerous. I haven't lit it up or anything like that. So keeping myself from being shot while I'm, you know, crafting rockets or making paper or whatever, you know, is kind of a good thing. So after I made this, I went ahead, went AFK for a little bit. As you can see, it actually works pretty decently. Don't have any sugarcane yet. I just put in the sugarcane farm, which I'll try to show here in a little bit. Not sure how I'm going to get up there right now because I didn't leave an area to get in. But anyway, that's beside the point. So, yeah, as far as the storage system goes, it's a pretty simple setup. Let's go get pearls. So if we could look at this, we have a water channel here. This is where the drops actually initially drop. I think I mentioned in a previous clip that I put a cobweb right underneath that dropper there. And as you'll notice, I also increased the size of the pad. That's to catch the sugarcane. But anyway, I have the sugarcane there, and that'll make it where it drops in this block right here. And then I'll catch that and go around. And then this bottom layer just loops around. And we have 2 items orders here. One there for sugarcane. Then we have this one here for gunpowder. So, and it's working pretty well as far as that goes. The sugarcane I haven't really tested too much as far as if the pad that I have is big enough. I think it is for one side, but I don't know about the other. But that's beside the point. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can get up into the sugarcane farm here. Yeah, this will be easy. Okay. So you can kind of see how this thing works. It's pretty simple. So we have just the sugarcane there. They're being detected by an observer on the end for when that end one gets up to 3. That's going to lower the efficiency on it a little bit, but for the space that I wanted to put it in, this will work just fine. And then behind these middle blocks here, we have sticky pistons that will push out and send everything down through the middle. So, pretty simple stuff. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out. Now, one thing that I definitely do need to work on is this AFK platform here, but that's probably something I'm going to work on over, in between episodes. So, yeah. So, there's one other thing that I want to do before we leave off today, and that involves going to spawn for a little bit. So, I'll meet you over there in just a sec. Alright, and welcome back. So the last thing I want to do in today's episode is I want to make a shop here in spawn. The bookshop is still coming, but I need to change my plans slightly on that, for reasons that I'll get into when I go to put it in. But, yeah. What I want to put in here is we have that netherwort farm, and then we also have the skeleton farm. I want to create a shop that sells both those items, so I'm going to put it right here. But first, this pink's got to go. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of this, and I'll be right back. And welcome back, everyone. So I got the shop stall all up and running and looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the design of it. Tried to stick, somewhat similar to how the design of it, is what was initially. And decided to do a few modifications. Instead of having the white color pattern, I decided to go ahead and put white over here, red over here, because, well, bones, netherwort. Makes sense to me. Then I went we're black in the middle just to break it up. So I think that's looking pretty good. Went ahead also put the bone blocks in and the netherwort blocks. And I think that's looking pretty good as well. Put some extra lighting back there because, well, you can't go wrong with extra lighting. And I think that's looking pretty good. Gonna be selling for 2 stacks for 1 diamond normally. And I think that's a pretty fair price for this. And for right now, during my little, what I'm calling my grand opening sale, it's gonna be 4 stacks for 1 diamond. And if they want to mix and match stacks, go for it. I don't, that doesn't bug me one bit. But there is one thing I want to do before I sign off today, and that is I want to go ahead and check the resource pack for the new textures that are coming up. There's something that I noticed with the last prank that we did on Cornelia, that some of the signs, they got one word cut off, from one side or the other, and kind of made the signs nonsensical to a point, but not too bad. So, but it looks like everything's looking pretty good here as far as, all the words are there. So I'm pretty happy with that. But as it is, I'm out of time for recording this episode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. If you're not already, consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitter to know the next time I upload. Until next time, guys, have a good one.